Hey everyone, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Ted, and today I'm joined by
Nerdarchist Dave.
In this GM 911, we discuss, can this paladin serve one god while loving another? Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with us.
Know what else you'll find down there? This GM 911 we're about to do. So there's a bunch of information here. And essentially, it's a homebrew world where the gods seem very involved with the mortals. You can meet them. This particular group has met several along their way.
Including getting into a fist fight?
Yeah, getting into a fist fight, falling in love. And, you know, one of the main character, the crux of the matter revolves around a paladin who is a follower of one deity, yet is in love with another and is trying to seduce the deity. And the GM is like, sure, give me a persuasion check, and it's going to be really high.
With disadvantage, mind you.
With disadvantage.
Because it's a goddess.
All right, so, like, there's a bunch of different things going on. And, like, this is kind of more of a player 911 because I think
this is coming not from the GM, not from the player who's playing the paladin, but from another person at the table.
Right. So one, obviously, you can play any kind of game you want. If you want your gods roaming around, interacting with your players, getting into fistfights, that's fine.
That's where Greek mythology goes. I mean, it's very possible that this is where the GM is taking his source from.
Like, literally, Zeus has had sex with everything, and that's why we have monsters, I think. Most of the problems stem from the gods not being able to keep it in their pants.
So, you know, here we have a issue of a paladin oath. Now, there are many different ways to take this, and as the GM, you always have the final say as to how you want to do it in your game, but it really should, you know, come to pass, you know, so that you're on the same page as your players. But if you have a paladin, they don't technically worship a god, they follow an oath. So if he's being loyal to what that oath is, doesn't matter whether he's serving a deity or not, oath shouldn't be taken. He's not an oath breaker.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's following his oath. He's not an oath breaker, so he's still holding true to that. And like the idea that you can't worship one deity yet be in love with another one is a little weird to me. You could, why couldn't you? Now maybe one deity might get jealous of the other. Now that could happen. It depends. There's several factors, right? Like, how is this Pantheon set up, and what are their relationships like? How do they interact with each other? You know, are they going to get jealous of each other? Do they hoard followers and worshippers? What I could see happening is this sea goddess, if she were to be courted by this paladin, I could see her go, no, you have to follow me as a worshiper as well, or first. I probably would not, like, for one, I would never have this situation in my game. But if I did have the type of game where it could happen, I would probably not have it decided by dice rolls. I'd be like, oh, you want to court me, and if you thought it at all was a possibility, I'd be like, well, here's these 7 labors you have to perform. Like, mythology is full of this kind of stuff. Even if your god didn't even really care and wasn't interested, I could see them doing it anyway because they're gods and they just do this shit sometimes.
They want to, number one, if you go down this line, okay, you know, you want to court me, this is where we start.
This is the ultimate giving out the fake number, okay? Listen, just do these 7 impossible things and then, yeah, you're in.
You wouldn't say it that way. It's like, this is where we start. And oh my God, he actually succeeded. All right, you've passed the first stage. Here is the next 7 impossible tasks. You know, and there could possibly be no end, you know, to what happens here. And it winds up becoming this, you know, ridiculous story. Lots of fun. You could just go to absurdity. But let's suppose you don't want to do that. You want to allow this kind of relationship, and you know, you set forth different things. Now, I would have the cool RP that the character is doing. Oh, well, does he research the god or goddess, depending upon what he's courting, and figure out, oh, what do they like, what do they not like? You know, do they find some way to gain, you know, secret information on, you know, this again, god or goddess? Well, all of those things are going to determine, oh, I put this stuff out there. Oh, well, now the task is going to be a little bit harder because you're playing to the vanity of said god or goddess. And typically, if you go into a lot of the old mythos, when you apply to that vanity, they swoon over it. It's like, oh, you know this about me. This is something only 7 people in the world actually know. I'm impressed that you have gone to such lengths just to find this rare flower that I so adore.
Like these could be adventures, like just getting up to that point, gathering the information, finding that rare flower. So I would be okay with, especially if the rest of the group is kind of on board with doing this stuff. Then it's a lot of fun, and why not? Maybe they want to curry favor with the sea goddess as well. Maybe there's a bigger story arc that's going to happen, and they have to cross a certain sea that she's known for not letting people cross. So letting the paladin woo her might be a good idea. Are there ways to weave this stuff into your story even deeper, since you've already kind of set it up where the players can kind of do it, right? And then it's a matter of, well, am I going to penalize them from the paladin from one god to another? And if so, why not just let the paladin swear a new oath to this new god?
So there's a couple things here. Number one, absolutely, you can allow characters to change oaths. With your divine classes, it's actually pretty easy for a cleric or a paladin to switch over to something else. Maybe there's a portion of a session where things are in hiatus, things are in a norm, and you strip them of those subclass features, and they gotta work to get into the next thing. Okay, well, now you get access to a new domain, or now you get access to a new oath, but they should retain their base class stuff, always. There's no reason to ever lose that stuff. But then you have to look at it from a pure mechanical standpoint, where I don't think it's ever right to fully punish a character and remove class features, without replacing them, or without offering something else in its stead, for role playing reasons. I'm sorry. This is a game of balance. This is a game of mechanics, and the wizard, he can lose his spell book, but he can get new spells. A fighter is never going to lose his attacks because he did something wrong. So, regardless of where you're getting your stuff from, you shouldn't ever remove that stuff.
I'm kind of envisioning when you said, like, you could absolutely switch your god, right? I'm kind of envisioning, like, that person from a friend group who's, like, dated everyone. And, like, but before the person breaks up with them, they always make sure they set that person up with a new friend to make it easier for everyone. So maybe you shouldn't be swapping your gods out quite that much. But in instances, in cases, yeah, you can absolutely do it.
And there's cool stories that can go along with those kind of things, but absolutely, what RP things happen, what role playing issues you're going to have. Oh well, I've changed oaths, or I've changed my faith. Well, in a world where the gods are present, where their manifestations are there. In a world like that,
you're probably literally swearing physically to them and taking the knee, swearing on your sword.
So there's going to be challenges. There's going to be issues of like, well, why aren't you serving me anymore? And it's not the metaphysical, the storm clouds rise, and you get the feeling that you've earned some ire. No, the god or goddess is going to be like, dude, what the heck? We were good for years. Like, come at me, bro. So you can get into those kind of things, and maybe the gods are forsworn that they can't directly act against their followers or former followers. But that's not to say that their other followers couldn't come after you,
or agents or something.
Yeah. So like, you can get into those kind of things, and go ahead and cause trouble because you've changed faith. But at the same time, it's like, there's totally reasons for being able to, swap those things out, as long as you RP at all and everybody's happy. And I'm not gonna punish a paladin or a cleric, for changing.
I look at this stuff like, can we create and tell more interesting stories by allowing this thing to go forward, or explore this area of the game? And if the answer is yes, heck yeah, we're going to do that thing. Why not? It may get terrible for you, but let's see what happens.
As far as the you know rolling with disadvantage to seduce a goddess, to me, all right, what's the new goddess? What's the sea goddess's stake or interest here? Is she interested in this paladin? If she is, then no, absolutely. I'm not going to have rolls with disadvantage. If you're focusing heavily on that kind of aspect of your game.
Death by snoo snoo.
For your Futurama fans out there. Again, I agree with Dave that no, I'm not going to make a seduction roll or a persuasion roll to seduce a goddess.
You shouldn't be able to do it anyway. Like there's 30 DC 30 possible, right? Well, this is probably like a 50 or something. Like you shouldn't be rolling off against the gods, in my opinion. It's kind of the
gods are they're going to make the decision. You're not going to just be like, yes, I am awesome, because you know how good Lucky is in my game with persuasion. So like. There's no way I'm going to put a goddess down there and set a DC, because technically 5th edition caps out at 30. He got a 32 on the last persuasion check that he rolled against me. So I'm like, yeah, he'd be knocking boots with any goddess he wanted. So yeah, play it however you want in your game. But there's Nerdarchy's viewpoint on all of these multitude of issues in the thing that you can read below. So while you're down there commenting on this GM 901, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Check us out over on Facebook.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.